Hey, how are you? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and today I'm going to jump a little bit off the grid. And a lot of times, lately I've been talking a lot about financial literacy and owning your own business and stuff like that because that's been really heavy on my mind, especially since we started the Black Wealth Boot Camp. And in case you wonder why I'm really excited, it's because the boot camp has turned into something 10 times better than what I thought it was going to be. And I knew it was going to be special, but we're actually creating more than a class. It's actually become an economy. Now students are now creating their own businesses. They're supporting each other's ideas. They're going to help each other raise capital. They're working to become each other's customers. I love it. I love it. It's this really awesome space where I find that we're able to build economic fortification. Economic fortification is where you have a group of like-minded people, preferably in this case black people, who support each other. And when you have people around you supporting each other, then what happens is you're forming a coalition, and when you have coalitions, you have fortification, protection, protection from just the fear of your business folding, you having to go work for the white man. Well, if we're a part of a clique, and you're doing poorly and I'm doing well, I come in and I offer support. I offer a loan or something to help you kind of get by. So anyway, that's really been heavy on my mind. So that's why, if you've noticed, I'm doing a lot of status updates, a lot of videos about wealth building. I'm really pumped up about the issue because I feel like it's one of the leading civil rights issues of this century. And this is something I was talking to Dr. Claude Anderson about extensively this week. And it's interesting because I know scholars where they'll say one thing in public, but then when you get them in private, they're talking about something else. In public, maybe they're talking about certain political issues or feminism or saying things that people want to hear, but then you get them in private and they're like, oh, where the bitches at, and or talking about liquor and weed and just stupid stuff, being famous and hanging with celebrities and all that. And that's one way I kind of judge and evaluate people that I meet is how come it's one thing for you to be one person in public. What kind of person are you in private? And it's funny because in the Bill Cosby thing that kind of came up, where Bill Cosby was one guy in public, but in private he was a different person. Maybe he wasn't like that in every regard, but at least just in terms of him just sort of being this serial womanizer, being married meant nothing apparently, with all the women he slept with. And this is even not even talking about the possibility, there's the good possibility that he was also doing even more inappropriate things with women. So long story short, this is what I'm getting to with this is that was the impression I got from hanging with Dr. Claude Anderson the other day. I hadn't seen him since '06, and he was really the whole time we talked afterward in private for 6 straight hours, all he talked about was how much he loved black people and how much he wants to help black folks, how much money he's spending to help black folks, the lawsuits that he's been filing on behalf of black folks, why black people are going to struggle if we don't get it together. I mean, I was astonished. I was so impressed by that, and it really just gave a template for leadership. So, in case you're wondering, I do consider Dr. Claude Anderson to be one of the few genuine, serious, legitimate black leaders that we have. One of the few genuine, serious black scholars that we have. Dr. Cornel West, I put him also in that category. Just from meeting with these people privately. If I didn't mention any certain scholar's name or something, you can fill in the blanks from there. It doesn't mean I'm talking about the person, but I'm not going to do that. But I will just say that I mentioned those two names for a reason, and other names I did not mention for a reason as well. Now, moving on. One of the things I wanted to talk about here is, and this is actually something that relates to a conversation I had with a young person. There was a young person who came to me and was saying to me that she was saying that the young guys, they don't ask girls out on dates anymore. They don't take them on dates anymore. They don't take them out to dinner. They don't treat them the way they deserve to be treated. And I thought about that, and I said, well, I've known this young lady for a while, and I said, well, the guys you date, the guys you spend time with, these are handsome guys. These are a lot of these guys are guys that a lot of girls like. So maybe for some of these guys, if every girl's chasing them, maybe they don't feel like they have to raise the bar in terms of how they treat any particular one. And so I just kind of said to her, I said, well, is it that all the guys are mistreating women, or is it that the guys you're selecting are mistreating women, and you're ignoring the guys that are treating you well? And the reason I bring that up is because I've seen that on the male and the female side, where, sometimes we'll kind of look like, for example, a guy might be chasing after the absolute prettiest girl in the room, and she doesn't want to go out with him, or he dates her and she mistreats him, and he'll say, well, this is what all women do, or all women, they're spoiled, or all women are this, all women are that. And I have to just kind of say, well, actually, all women aren't like that. The woman that you chose was like that. There were a lot of other women who would have treated you much better, but you weren't interested in that for whatever reason. You wanted to chase the brightest, shiniest object on the shelf. In your mind, the brightest, shiniest option that you had, without consideration for how that option would treat you, how they would respect you. The same thing is true with women. You'll see, you might see a situation where you have 15 women fighting over the same guy. So he doesn't feel any obligation in some cases to treat any of them with any respect. He's not chasing them, they're all chasing him. And a lot of these women may have looked past that average guy who would have rolled out the red carpet, who does worship the ground you walk on, who does want to wine and dine you, who does want to treat you well, who does want to give you time and attention, who does want to give you everything you want from a relationship. So a lot of times the thing that we think does not exist, it actually exists in a place that we're not choosing to look. We're choosing to overlook those options, and therefore we're somehow concluding that the whole world is bad because we didn't get what we wanted. We didn't get the bright shiny thing that we wanted. In a way, it's funny. It even reminds me even of picking a job. If you pick a job and you get the job everybody wants, everybody wants to work at the White House, let's say. And so all of you apply for this job. 300 people apply. You're the one person out of 300 who gets the job, and then they treat you like crap. And you say, well, I'm really skilled. I went to law school, and my job, they treated me like crap. They underpaid me. This isn't fair. Well, I mean, there were other jobs you could have taken that would have treated you very well, that would have been very happy to have you. But there was something that you needed internally, maybe some sort of validation that you would receive from having this important, prestigious job. So you weren't as concerned about how the job was going to treat you as you were about being able to use the job as some sort of label that would somehow make you feel more validated to the rest of the world. So sometimes we'll take these stupid jobs that we hate, that where we get mistreated, where we get abused, that are destroying our lives. We'll keep those jobs because we it makes us feel special. It makes us feel accomplished. It makes us feel like it's something to brag about. Same thing is true with picking a partner. Some people will pick a partner because they like having that person on their arm, but then they're enduring all kinds of torture, all kinds of abuse, all kinds of mistreatment because you're so excited about having that person on your arm that you're not thinking 1 second about how that person treats you. A person with high self-esteem gets away from that. They realize, you know what? I don't need a certain person on my arm to make me feel validated. I need a person that's going to treat me well when we're in private, when nobody else is looking, that's going to make me feel good. I don't care how good you necessarily look, or if you're the prettiest woman in the room or whatever. But I need you to treat me well and make me feel comfortable as a man in terms of how you deal with me. So a lot of times, and again, I'm not talking too much about my own dating strategy. I mean, believe me, I am nobody's Mac. I ain't somebody that's good in terms of giving. I can give good fatherly advice. I'm not here to give manly dating advice. Like, this is how you conquer the woman and all that. I mean, yeah, everybody has their approach, but what I am here to say is that I learned at a very early age that everything that glitters ain't gold. And sometimes when you chase after the thing that's glittering the most, that's when you have the most competition. A lot of times the best jewels are usually the hidden jewels. And a lot of times you'll have scenarios where a very small percentage, and women do this a little more than men. I remember I actually studied by evolutionary biology, and I found that actually females of all female mammals kind of do this. They have a tendency to go after the alpha males. The alpha males are that small percentage, maybe the top 5% that the biggest, strongest, the ones who conquer the territory, the ones who dominate the other males. A lot of the females' natural attention is toward the alpha, and what happens in other species, like for example with deer or antelope or bears or whatever, the alpha males will have sex with a whole lot of women, and you'll have the beta males and the other males that won't get to have nearly as much sex because the women are all focused on the alpha male. Now, if you're a bear, it's no big deal. Bears don't mind being babies' mamas. Bears don't care if the man hits it and quits it. Bears don't care if there's no relationship or if the man doesn't put a ring on it. But human beings do care about that. So when you're looking at trying to get somebody that's going to give you what you really want, sometimes going after the biggest, brightest thing in your vision may not be the best strategy for you to get what you want and what you need in the long term. So I just say in general, anytime you go into any market, Dating is a market. Understand? It's just like a stock market or a market for new cars or anything. Markets have supply and demand. So when you go into any market, you got to look at the supply, the demand, the competition, what you're dealing with. And sometimes going to those places where there's less competition can give you a leg up. Just like when you pick a job. When I graduated with my PhD, I could have went to schools better than Syracuse. Syracuse is not a bad school, but it's not Harvard. But I wanted to go to Syracuse because Syracuse really, really wanted me because they knew normally they couldn't get somebody like me to come to that school. So I was like, well, you know what? I want to go to a place where they're going to really treat me like I'm a king, and instead of going to a place that, now mind you, we had the racism issue and all that later on down the line, but when they were recruiting me, they really wanted me because they didn't have any African Americans, and they wanted this superstar black student who was at the top of the class and all that other stuff. So basically, by looking in places nobody else is looking, you can get the opportunities that other people may have missed. That's my point. So if you're in the dating game, just realize, when you feel like your situation's not giving you what you want, understand that it was your decision to be in that situation. That's not just true for dating, that's also true for a job. If you're being mistreated on your job and you hate your job and you're going through the stress in your job, well, you do have the option of quitting. You do have that is an option. Our ancestors didn't have corporations they could go beg for jobs from. The white man wasn't going to come and take care of them like that. They had to find a way to make a way. So you do have an option of leaving. And the question I ask myself when I think about quitting my job is, when I thought about it, I said, well, it's very stressful to learn how to start a new business, but it's even more stressful dealing with a pack of bigots every day when I go to work. So, which type of stress do I want? Do I want the stress that's going to get me the consistent paycheck by working for the man, or do I want the stress that's going to give me the financial freedom of working for myself? Both approaches have their advantages. Both have their stressors. You have to pick the one that works right for you. For myself, I left my job. I've survived. It was fine. I haven't been happier. So those are things that we talk about in the Black Wealth Bootcamp as well. If you want to check it out, the website is theblackwwealthbootcamp.com. But actually, believe it or not, this was actually more of a conversation about the whole dating idea. And I know I deviated into a couple of topics, but I hope that the information was helpful, because what happens is, if you start to look at big pictures of things, you start to see things in a unified framework. So that's why it seemed like I went from dating to business, back to dating, back to business, because a lot of it is the same thing. It's about making investments in other people or investments in situations in the hopes that you're going to get a better return when that investment's over. So, when you decide to invest your heart in a person, you're giving that person, it's very risky. Just like investing in stocks is very risky. Also, you're investing with the hope that you're going to get a return on your investment. Some people invest their hearts in people, and those people disappoint them. But sometimes the reason those people might have disappointed you is because perhaps you didn't do your due diligence, or you didn't pursue the best option that was available to you. Now remember, the best option that's available to you is not necessarily the brightest, shiniest option. It's the option that's the best fit for your short, medium, and long-term objectives. So I hope that makes sense. I know I was sounding real theoretical today, but those of you who ride with me on when I go on these tangents, I appreciate that. So anyway, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Take care. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.